last year I've had a couple things happen that lets me know that that's still a reality for me.
Well,
but as for extraterrestrial nightmare, nah, never had one.
Interesting. Now, okay, you, if I remember right, you go to the doctor. The doctor comes out and says, and asks you or something if you got ever injured or something on your wrist or forearm or something. What happened?
Well,
I mean, how did they discover that thing on your arm?
I'd hit my thumb with a hammer a couple weeks before, probably, or 3. It really didn't bother me at the time, but then I'm sitting here at home and it's November and I'm not super busy because I was working, and I noticed a couple of my fingers were really stiff. And I made a comment to my wife, who's a nurse, about it. And she said, well, I wonder if you got an arthritis or something. I mean, if you're going to get it, maybe you better go get an x-ray. And so I went and got an x-ray. And this doctor, Mark Hubner, who came out, he says, do you know you got a piece of metal in your wrist? And I sat there for a little bit, just like here, and then it dawned on me, kind of like premonition. Well, I think it must be UFO connected, because like I said, I didn't know anything about alien implants or even wasn't even aware of the reality that was a reality. And he said, well, I said, no, but I got a pretty good idea. But he had a student doctor with him, so I said, well, you finish your rounds, and when you get done, come back in here, and I'll talk a little more about this piece of metal. And when he came back, me and him had a pretty good discussion.
Wow. I mean, what did you guys talk about?
Well, I talked about my UFO sightings and my premonitions, and just about anything else. Dr. Huber was of a Mormon faith, and I figured, it wasn't, bringing an extraterrestrial reality in to the picture wasn't going to, throw him off the handle too bad. Excellent person on helping me out. A couple of nights later, I go over to his house. He has a better computer than I had, and so I went over to his house, and I talked more about the paranormal in my life and stuff. And then we got on the internet. Of course, this was in 1998. It ain't quite what it is now. We got on the internet and started looking, and we found Dr. John Mack's peer group, and they contacted me. They said they didn't do anything for people and they had things in their body, but there was a surgeon out in California that removed some objects from people. And so we was on none of that, and then I kind of got Dr. Leir's name, and then November, like 2 more days later, I'm watching that program on NBC, and confirmation, proof of aliens amongst us, and Dr. Leir and the people were on there, and so that's where I went. And I got a recording made, got an x-ray and sent it to Roger, and we got things going. But in 1999, I think he had some health issues and stuff, and we really didn't get nothing done. But then, like I say, we kept it going and kept the iron in the fire. And then in early 2000, in February 2000, I went out to California and had the surgery done.
Now, I got to ask you a question. Timothy, what did Dr. Roger Leir require for you to even accept you for, doing surgery? What did you have to supply to him?
He had to, you had a little criteria. Well, I had to send an x-ray showing that I had something actually in my body. And then I had to have an affidavit to having either a UFO or an alien recollection. It just because you want to, you had to have some basis. And I remember on mine, I had a man that I was helping a little bit off and on here in Yuma a little bit, and him and his son had some recording, and I was able to make a nice recording on on a desk for him and sent it as God, UFOs, and me. And that's why I sent him.
Uh-huh.
And they got back a hold of me, and then as we're discussing the surgery, they one day asked me if I could use my name, and I said, sure. And I said, I didn't care. And, of course, I didn't realize the stigmata that was still attached to it a little bit, but that, like I said, I don't, hey, what's real is real, it didn't bother me. I was self-employed and stuff, and if somebody didn't like it, I didn't have a boss or anything to fess up to. I always thought I would maybe discuss it with my wife a little better, but I didn't. But waters went on the bridge, and we're still going down the road. So.
Now, when you got and met Dr. Roger Leir, did he do any X-rays or anything himself?
Oh,
before?
Well, yeah. When we got out there, that was he took a Gauss meter and went over it. And like I said, I got to look at my notes, and the notes it said it read 2.2, and then when it went over the objects, it went up to 0.3. So then I went and got another X-ray to confirm it was still in the body. I thought, man, I hope I ain't come out all the way out to California and guys have taken it out. But yeah, we got another X-ray and stuff, and then we went to a lab and got some stuff to take blood and urine samples before and after my surgery.
Now, do you know how long you were awake during the surgery? Correct?
Oh yeah. It was just a little local surgery. Mine was in my wrist. It was an easy removal. They just, deadened that part of my arm, and
do you remember what it looked like? Can you describe to the listeners what that implant looked like?
When they took it down my body, laid on the gauze, it looked like a peppercorn. And but it still had the biological membrane around it, so it looks like a peppercorn.
Okay. So, then what? After Dr. Roger Leir, took it out and put it on the gauze, what was his next step? Do you remember?
Yep. We went down, got a container, put it in my blood serum, and sealed the container. That way, the object would not get contaminated, and it was viable. And then he was able to start taking it to labs. But yeah, we put it in my blood serum and sealed the container. I think that's why, to me, how Dr. Roger Leir, Gerald Sims got him involved, because they were began taking implants out of people, and they were self-destructing, and they didn't know how to keep them. And when they got a hold of a medical person like Dr. Leir, was able to figure out, you just put in blood serum, and then if these things have any extra power, before they hook to the body or whatever, before they can, they're in the blood serum, they'll think they're in the body, but they're not getting powered, and then they just, they die down, and then they can't self-destruct. Kind of right out of Mission Impossible, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, so
that was always my. I never did actually explicitly ask Dr. Leir how that was, but I kind of get that was the drift I kind of got.
So he then sent it out to the lab. How long did it take before you heard anything back from Dr. Roger Leir after it was sent to the lab?
Well, he sent mine out. It wasn't. He got some reports back within a week. That was showing up with the meteoric iron and some of the other stuff. But yeah, of course, with mine being about number 9, they was onto this, so they was kind of knowing what to look for on some of the things that they was wanting to research. So it was like carbon nanotubes, that's what you put out, and some of these other things. So, they had a little bit of heads up, on the research that they were wanting to do. They just weren't having to start over every time. They had some headways on different things to do.
Now, could this been compounded on Earth, or was when it came back from the lab, did they make a determination where it could have been compounded at?
Not really. They said meteoric iron. There was a lot of combinations. Really don't know how these are made. Put so many elements into something and still have them magnetic, and because really couldn't be using heat to bond them up. So, and I think like I'm not sure, it was either the silver, lead, and mine kind of had a non-earthy isotopic ratio on it, like silver would be I'm a novice, 8-1 on here on Earth, and the elements that was in the object was like 50-1. So it's some curiosities.
Now, James,
yeah.
you got a question, James?
Yeah. Do you still think you have an implant right now today, Timothy?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And
the
also, do you
exist? I think I've been abducted a couple more times since then, and I think the possibility exists, but whether I have or not, I don't know.
Okay. Do you ever see or smell or feel anything that gives you memories of any of the abduction nights that you've had previously?
Nope.
Okay. And also,
I mean, when you start going there looking for things, I'm a strikeout. I wouldn't even be an abductee if I wouldn't have this implant taken on my body. Everything else I get, I'm at a pretty well negative, except for maybe, some other other sightings and some weird shit. Other than that, no.
Interesting. Now, how about any...
the way it is.
How about, do you ever get any telepathy kind of thoughts in your head that you think maybe may be coming from them up there?
Well, there you're getting really into dangerous territory. Yeah, I've had things like that happen, yeah. And I'm not going to... If they're coming from aliens, it's scary. Genuinely scary. I think, I'm wondering if it's coming from a non-mortal intelligence type situation. If what some of these things that happen to me are extraterrestrial, then we're really in an interesting way. But I really don't think so. I think it's something else that we really don't quite know about with the paranormal.
Well,
because I've got reasons that it affects me in my life on it. So, being a missing identical twin is kind of really being a clue because, all my family on both sides, I'm the only one, and I don't even hardly getting any trigger response for any kind of sightings or contacts by anybody. So
now, hey, Timothy,
that's why I find out for myself. So
now, Timothy,
I can't speak for everybody, but for me, that's the way it is.
Now, Timothy, we're going to have to take a break for the top of the hour with the news and all that stuff. I want you to sit and think for the next 5 or so minutes. Some of these thoughts or dreams or whatever it's happening, I want to know if I can get you to share it. I want you to know if we can get you to share it because, when you my memory don't really work that way. It's not say I see something. Oh man, it really doesn't work that way. It's more a deja vu type of a. Well, even that, if you can share that.
But the basic deal is it happens. That's.
Well, I want you to share whatever you think you can share. Okay. My concern is you had that implant. Now, you told me in the listeners, your daughter had an encounter. I want to know about that because I got a funny feeling something is going on. And
my
daughters and wife were with me when they encountered the third craft, the strobe light object.
Yeah. Well, we got to go.
They were all with me.
We got to go on break. So we'll be back in about 6 minutes. So, get a cup of tea, cup of Jabba.
I'll go get a drink of water.
Okay, we'll be back with Timothy. We're going to try to find out, James, we're going to try to find out more what has been going on you know, put it together.